Gentlemen, prepare to leave.
I am the herald of he who sits high and looks low. Bow in the presence of the Almighty, ruler of the universe, creator of all things, holy, righteous. May I go on?
There is no one greater, Elohim, the only creator. You sent your son to earth, he is our only savior. You are our only maker, all of the claimers are fakers. They try to take your glory, can't get in and lame. Break out they precious shoes, wear it and look something mean. But they cheap imitations, they gon' turn your neck green. Wear my faith on my sleeve, even if they make me bleed. Let them take my life, I give you all of me. Omnipotent, omnipresent, you rule over earth and heaven. Time is on the planet, you see past, future, and present. I don't deserve to know you, yet been given your blessing. You made me new and gave me like I'm forever indebted. Good enough, I give you all of me. They think you take everything, but I give you all of me. Just carry I give you all of me. I give you all of me. I give you all of me.
Yeshua, translation, Jesus Christ and he's ruler. Who you got that converse to him, only stands his maneuver.
What's going on, YouTube? This is going to be a review of my MP45 compact. I know I posted a few videos of me shooting it, but this is actually going to be what I think about the gun. So I'm just going to dive into it here. Now, I originally bought this because I was looking for something smaller to conceal during the summer. I bought a M&P 9mm full size last winter, and it conceals great under a jacket, but I'm a little bigger, so I went and got something a little smaller. And I already had, another 9mm. So I decided to just get a 45, and it gave me another excuse to buy a gun because what I was carrying before was a Smith & Wesson SD9VE, and as you can see, this is pretty much the same size, if not smaller than a 45. So I really didn't need to buy another gun, but that's just what I did because I wanted a 45. So the M&P 45 compact is it comes with a 4.5-inch barrel. It's got a shorter grip. And that's really what I was looking for because I carry at 12 o'clock, so the barrel length really doesn't bother me. I can conceal that no problem. It was the grip that I was concerned about because this end pokes out a little bit, especially in the summer in Arizona. It gets really hot, and so I'm only going to be concealing this under a t-shirt, most likely. It pretty much works the same way as the M&P 9mm. I did do some work to it. I stippled the grip, and I went ahead and took off the melanite coating on the barrel. That does two things. It's for aesthetics, and it's easier to rub the carbon filing off when you do that. I know a lot of people say that once you take the melanite coating off, it makes your barrel rust out. That's just not true. I mean, unless you're going to keep your gun in a damp environment and you're never going to oil it, then yeah, that's going to happen. But I always oil this thing. I clean it every time I shoot it, so I'm not really worried about it rusting out. And not to mention I have this, which doesn't come with the melanite coating, and I put about 15,000 rounds through it, and it seems to do just fine. So it breaks down the same way as the 9mm. Just lock the slide back, pull down the takedown tool. You can do this two ways. You can take out the tool from the bottom and hit the lever, or you can just ride the slide forward, pull the trigger, and slide it right off. I only recommend doing that if you are sure the gun is empty, because if the gun is not empty, you will have an ND, and that's going to be a bad time. It breaks apart the same way. So you got your slide, your barrel, and your spring. And while I was at it, I went ahead and polished up the end of the guide rod and the slide lock and the takedown lever. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back. Reassembles the same way. From the videos, you can pretty much tell that you know, this thing handles like a 9mm. It's a very like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a thump when you shoot it. The recoil is really smooth. It's not jerky. It's not snappy like the 40 is. It's very easy to control, especially with the stippling on here. That's the biggest reason why I do that. And it's the biggest reason why I got this gun is because of the follow-up shots. You know, I said to myself, if I can put follow-up shots and have a tight grouping, then I would go ahead and just get a 45, because I was in the market for another 9mm, but I really wanted something different. And so I got this used, and it was about I think $480 used, which was a pretty good deal. It came with 2 magazines. It came with the pink grip magazine, which holds 8 rounds. So with this in here is 8+1, and then it also came with another magazine that also held 8 rounds that was flush. So the gun holds 8+1, and you know, I went ahead and just got the regular M&P 45 magazine, and I also polished these up as well just so it matched everything else. The regular M&P 45 magazine holds 10 rounds, so with the spare, it ends up being 19 rounds. I did have a problem with that at first because I'm so used to carrying 40+ rounds, but you know, you get over it, because chances are, even if you do get into a gunfight, you're not going to use that many rounds. So it was very easy for me to get over it. I also did a undercut to the trigger guard. That just, you know, as always, gives a good purchase on the firearm. And I did a double undercut to provide another reference point for my other hand. I like to do that on my guns. It's just easier for me. You don't really need to do it, but it does make the gun seat in your hand better. Especially these 45s or guns with high recoil. The gun sits in your hand better, and you're able to control it a lot more than if you leave it as it comes from the factory. One thing that is different on these, the 45 model, is the front slide serrations, which I think is awesome. I love the way it looks. They're put there for press checks, and I think it just looks awesome. None of the other models have it. And if you want it done, you have to send it to a machine shop and get it machined in, which I think is crap, but whatever. Just like my 9mm, I'm going to go ahead and redo the trigger. It's not a bad trigger. It's way more consistent than the 9mm is. I don't know why. It feels different. Maybe it's just in my head, but this has a more consistent reset. It has a more consistent break, and it doesn't feel as mushy as a 9mm does. Like I said, again, it could be in my head, but it just seems like the M&P 9mm trigger is just, it's just really hard to predict and understand and know, I guess. But this trigger is a little more predictable. Okay, I'm back. My wife just came in and ruined everything. Yeah, wives sometimes do that. Anyway, like I was saying, I absolutely love this gun. I carry it all the time. I carry more than my 9mm now. It's just more convenient to carry. It's easier to carry. It conceals better than the 9mm does. One thing I do want to say, don't buy this shit. By this shit, I mean the Taylor Freelance extension. At least not for the 45. I got it. It was 45 bucks, and it was supposed to be a +3. It ended up being a +1. I had to do a bunch of stuff to it. I had to drill out the nub in the front of the magazine well. I had to drill out the inside of the actual extension. I had to file down all the legs on the follower, and through all that, I only ended up getting a +2. So now they won't let me send it back because obviously it's been altered. So I'm stuck with a 10-round magazine that was supposed to be an 11-round magazine, when I could have just went and bought one of these for 40 bucks. So I don't recommend the Taylor Freelance extension for these. I don't know if they work. They may work for the 9mm, or they may work for any other 45, but for this gun specifically, it doesn't work, and it's not a real good buy. So I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. So if you're in the market for a 45, you're looking for a compact, and you have giant gorilla hands like I do, MP45 compact is probably what you're going to be looking for. Everything else, the single stacks, I can't do because my hands are too big. So this gun fits me perfectly. It's wide enough, it's small enough, but it still packs a punch. It's a 45. I love shooting it. I love carrying it. It's just, it's awesome. I can't say enough good things about it, except for the trigger. That shit's coming out.